further ado, I want to introduce Megan. Megan runs Backcourt Marketing, a digital marketing agency that focuses on social media. She helps business owners create effective social media plans as well as executing them. She works with a variety of businesses ranging from gyms to doctor offices to new entrepreneurs trying to figure out a marketing plan. Backcourt Marketing has been in business around 2 years, and before that, Megan has worked with agencies handling a variety of digital marketing services and has a heavy experience in sports industry, which led to the name of her business. Today, she will be providing some practical, helpful tips for business owners about how to best use their time on social media. And Megan, welcome, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sean. All right, let me try to get this share screen thing right again. Daunting and overwhelming, and there's so many parts to it, but it really doesn't have to be that hard, and that's what I try to help business owners understand. And then for those of us who are more experienced and have a good social media strategy already going, you'll probably still learn some new things, but it'll at least give you a chance to maybe step back and evaluate what you're doing and see if it's useful or not, because we want to make sure that we're using our time on it effectively, because social media can be extremely time consuming. So basically the way we're going to do that is I want to look through like the 5 or so major platforms, because I think that's the most important thing, and from there hopefully you can decide like which one is the most effective for you and what makes sense for your unique business, and then also show you like how to engage properly and kind of just some practical information for how to do that. So we'll first start with Facebook, and I'm just going to share some basic information about each platform. So as you might know, Facebook just reached the 3 billion users mark. So, you know, with that said, I think it's extremely essential to, at the very least, have a Facebook business page. Mainly because it also acts as just another space for people to find you. It's kind of like having a second Google My Business page in a way. And nowadays people are looking more to Facebook to find information about your business, your hours of operation, your address, and all of that kind of stuff. So if you don't have that, it's kind of a little like less credibility. So you want to have that set up, and then you also want to make sure you're posting updates. Because especially now, you know, people can assume that if you haven't posted anything in a year or 6 months, they can easily assume your business might be closed. So you want to keep it active, and you don't necessarily have to have a huge Facebook strategy, because organic performance can be very hard to achieve on Facebook, unless you're running ads, because Facebook has basically become a very pay-to-play platform. But at the very least, you want to have a Facebook business page set up, have all your information on there, and post, you know, as often as you could find the time to. And then other little details like about their demographic, it's pretty much everybody, 3 billion people, but the 65 plus age group has been very quickly growing on there. So if you market to that group, then, you know, Facebook could be a good place to focus on. See, Instagram. Instagram happens to be owned by Facebook, of course, because Facebook is the giant. They own the whole world at this point. So Instagram, the thing to understand about Instagram is it's mainly mobile. So everything you do on it, you're using through your phone. When you post updates, when you share photos, when you engage, you're all doing that through your phone. You can do it on the desktop, but it's limited. And then Instagram's mainly visual. So if you work in the creative space, you do artwork, jewelry, Instagram can almost act as like another online portfolio, because people are looking for that kind of visual imagery on Instagram. That's what they're there for. Stories, if you've heard of those, they're the short little like 30-second videos that just you can pop through them and watch them. Those have actually become like more popular than the feed itself, because they're so easy to go through and it's kind of automatic. So if you have an Instagram, I encourage you to use stories, because they have proven to really help your engagement a lot, because more people are finding your business that way. If you could put like your location in the story, or you could just put, you know, like if you're in Scottsdale, Arizona, and it'll come up in the Scottsdale feed, and it's a way to get new eyes on your Instagram page, because otherwise they won't just stumble upon it. And then Instagram is heavy on the hashtags. That's a whole nother science. Basically what hashtags are is like the stories, it's another way for people to find you. So if it's hashtag jewelry or hashtag Arizona AZ artist or AZ local biz, you can follow those hashtags and find other people in that space and engage with them. And then the last thing to keep in mind about Instagram too is the demographic tends to be younger. So if you market to that audience, actually like teenagers are like probably the most active group on Instagram. So if you sell to that group, you'll want to consider Instagram. Pinterest is interesting because it's not so much a social media platform as it is kind of like a search engine. So it's a really good driver of website traffic. If you have a blog, you want to have a Pinterest so that you can post your blog posts on Pinterest. And basically how it works is you would post it like as a pin, and then other people see the pin and they repin it, and it shares it to their network and just multiplies and multiplies. And you could do that too if you have like an e-commerce setup. If you're selling specific items, you can add those items as pins. The other thing you can do with Pinterest is, let's say your Instagram page is important to you, then you could actually link to your Instagram page from Pinterest. So if you don't have a blog or whatever, you can add basically your Instagram posts as a pin as well and drive more traffic to your Instagram, if that makes sense. The other thing too is Pinterest, people come on there kind of with the shopper mentality already in mind. Most of the time they're actually trying to take a break from social media when they come to Pinterest, and they're there to scroll through just ideas for, you know, whether it's home improvement or fashion or beauty. You know, that's what they come to Pinterest for. So they're literally searching for what you have to offer, kind of like Google or a search engine in a way. Let's see, Twitter, I tend to recommend the least, only because it's best for, let's say, you're, you know, a journalist, you're like a public figure, a politician, a large organization or business, you're trying to grow like a very large brand, or if you, let's say you provide customer service through social media, Twitter is good for that. Otherwise, for like small business owners and entrepreneurs, it's not always necessary. And Pinterest can be very time consuming. It's, you know, the type of platform you scroll through a million people's opinions, and it can be very exhausting. So unless you're in that space already, you know, it was good for me. Like, as an example, I used to do sports journalism. So I was able to build my brand on Twitter when I did sports writing, and people would find my articles. But nowadays, it doesn't really serve a whole lot of purpose for me. The audience is a median age of 40. It's a pretty educated audience. And again, it's a very political outlet. So that's up to you whether you want to spend time on it or not. But usually for small business, it's not, I don't recommend it, but LinkedIn is probably my favorite. Because if you're in the B2B space, it's pretty much necessary to have a LinkedIn. You can literally search for people's like job titles and locations. So let's say you want to market to mortgage loan officers in Scottsdale, you can search for that and find a whole list of them. And it's a good way if you're in a particular niche to really just share your thought leadership and establish yourself as, you know, a thought leader in that industry. You know, as an example, like I worked with an engineer who had a very specific niche, and by just like sharing, you know, little tidbits from his publications and sharing little like pieces of information and past projects and stuff, he kind of like was able to identify himself as the expert on that on LinkedIn, and people got to know him that way, the people who mattered. So he actually got in contact with a lot of other engineers. You know, it opened up the potential for like partnerships and other projects like that. So if you want to like establish yourself as kind of an expert in your industry, LinkedIn's really good for that. And the type of content too that does well all the time is just like general career advice or like motivational quotes, just leadership related stuff too. So it doesn't always have to be very specific information. Yeah, so that pretty much summarizes the platform. So what I wanted to do from there is just give you good information about that. And then when you're trying to figure out, okay, what do I do from here? I suggest, you know, choose like 1 to 2 platforms that are going to benefit your business the most, because you don't necessarily need to be on all of them. You don't need to create a TikTok account right now just because it's all the rage right now. If your target audience isn't there, like, be smart about your time. And the bottom line is, you know, we're on social media all day anyways. And if you're going to do that, like, think about a way to effectively use that time, because it's very easy to sit there. I mean, I do it daily, scroll for 2 hours on Facebook and then, oh no, 2 hours has gone by and I haven't done anything. It's so easy to do that. So if we can commit, you know, like if I'm going to spend 15 minutes a day on LinkedIn or whatever, then I'm going to make sure I'm doing it right. And what I say here with engagement is that's basically just like being an active social media user. So it's not just posting. That's just half of it. You want to spend as much time engaging as you are posting, because if you're not an active social media profile yourself, then you can't expect others to be active on your page and just stumble upon you. You need to engage with your target audience and even your competitors sometimes. You know, it could be hard for us to like our competitors' stuff, but it actually statistically benefits us. So what that looks like down these 4 bullet points in orange is kind of just an example of, you know, a plan that I put together for a entertainment company. If they're going to go on and just like scroll through the Instagram, I say respond to the notifications first, and then make sure you follow, like go through the feed, follow 10 new profiles a week, like at least 10 posts a week, and comment on at least 3 posts a week, because that stuff really helps with your statistics, and it makes sure that you're being seen and that your social media posts aren't just there for nothing. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Just wanted to list, I do have my Advantage service that's posted on my profile is the social media audit session, where we basically sit down and go through this, and I look at your particular business and we put together like a 9 to 10 page packet of information for you to just use that and do it yourself. And it includes, you know, I'll draft up some posts for you to just copy paste. I'll create an engagement schedule like the one I just showed you. And pretty much I'm there to just sit and answer any questions that you have. And then yes, we also do ongoing social media management for those who don't want to do it themselves. So yeah, that's all I got. And I guess I'll open the door for questions.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Megan. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
It is a crowded space, and you're right. Trying to be in all platforms and try to engage in everyone, it's just too much time consuming, and then you won't be successful. So for us, you know, just to share, the most successful has been Instagram and LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. Those are the 2 we've been successful, but Pinterest is one that I'm interested in kind of getting to more engaged. So we started that, but I have some questions, but I want to see who has questions so we can get. Okay, Patty, go ahead.
Megan, very, very good presentation. Thank you. 2 things, 2 questions, and they're specific to Facebook. The first is, there's a poor rumor going around that as of Saturday, Facebook is going to start charging. I've even received a message about it. Do you know, have you heard anything about that?
You know what, that rumor has existed ever since Facebook began, and it's never true. That's
Thank
a viral thing. I can pretty much, I already know what you're talking about. I've seen that a million times. I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay, because there was a scam that got started, and unfortunately I fell for it because I wasn't used to social media. And that scam had repercussions like you wouldn't believe. And this happened like at 10, 11 o'clock p.m. And I said, never, ever again will I ever do anything of sending a message without checking it out in detail the way I should have to begin with. The other question I have is in the photo section, the picture section of like where it says friends. Is there a way of changing the friends? Like there are people who I would definitely like to have in that section, and they have been replaced by things like, oh, not accepting any more friends at this point. Just not where I want to go with this. I want to be able to have like friends who I've known for years that I want to include in the friends section with the pictures. And that may seem trivial, but you know what? It's a reflection of me and my service.
So you're talking about your friends list in particular?
The friends section where they have the pictures.
And you're not able to show all of them, or that could just be your privacy settings?
So it keeps rotating based on each new friend who's added to the page gets put into that friend section automatically. I don't do anything to change it. I've gone back several times to figure out if there's a way of adding or deleting it, and I can't figure it out.
Okay, yeah, I think I know what you're talking about, because Facebook just automatically chooses who it shows on that left side of your profile.
Yes.
And I don't think there's a way to like rearrange or choose who is shown, but you could hide that if you want. I'm pretty sure if you went into your like profile privacy settings, you could just make that private. But I would have to get into Facebook and figure out how to do that for you.
Okay. I'm still learning and growing with social media. I've got a lot to do just with social media, but that's where I've gotten started. So,
yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. The actually Megan does have an offer on there that it's a social media audit, and it's actually would be really good for people who are either starting out or have a profile that needs to be reviewed, because it's engagement obviously is one, but also having the right, the look and the verbiage and the photos and all that, having it set up initially correct way, it really reflects on your business and on your profile. Anyone else with a question?
I see one from Bradley in the chat.
Okay.
He asks, what are your thoughts on TikTok for businesses? Honestly, I've
Question.
been scratching the surface of that. It's such a new thing. It's one of those things I'm researching. I haven't used it yet on a client, but I know that there are some like larger businesses who are doing really well on TikTok, and they have like a huge audience now. But I can't say whether necessarily it's beneficial to them or not, because like the TikTok audience is basically like age 18 and under. So if you're not selling to that, or, then I don't really know the point. But again, it's such a new thing. I'm just studying use cases and seeing if it could benefit anyone that I know.
I agree. I think it's the early days, because my kids are on it all the time. I've got two, 15-year-old and a 12-year-old. But I see brands on there, that Gary Vee, he keeps saying that it's early days and get on there. But for businesses, unless you stay on it long-term, and eventually those 18-year-olds or below 18-year-olds grow to be adults, and then that's where you have a great following. It's a long-term play, I guess.
Yeah.
Ryan, go ahead.
Megan, thanks so much for this overview.
Yeah.
So I have about TikTok really quick. I was just I subscribe to a lot of startup news headlines, and so the latest thing with TikTok is that they're funding an initiative, a big one, to start micro learning practices. So anybody who's a content creator, they will support and they'll drive traffic towards anyone that's teaching how to do something using their platform. So it's, you know, how-tos, educational, learning, anything of that sort. So much like Pinterest, I see that now as coming around. It's coming of age, especially with big interest with colleges and high schools, as they're going to drive the traffic. So that's going to be the next wave of shoppers. But I have a question about social media and primary Facebook, because Facebook is supposed to be a way for us to get in touch with our friends. And I just recently had this little issue. I never really tried to communicate with people on Facebook because it was so lame after MySpace. But now I've decided to actually fill up my profile with things that actually happen. And I have these dance concerts from my high school that everybody would really appreciate in my alumni. But of course, being back in the 1990s, everybody used copywritten music. So it's in the background. Facebook automatically picks it up and blocks it and disallows the video, even if it's set to private. I noticed it was just on my private profile because I wanted to preview it. And I thought, well, that's lame. How do I share these really pivotal moments for these young artists' careers that went on to become like choreographers for music videos and then Britney Spears and stuff. Like, hey, I just want to say, hey, these came out of our high school, and you know, that's the whole point of a social media. If I wanted to fight for commercial rights, I would put it on maybe YouTube, which again was originally supposed to be a single site. So if you post music that you like, that's your opinion. That shouldn't inhibit you from being able to, you know, share that content. Is there some loophole there that I'm not getting? I mean, have they still commercialized our social interactions that there is no personal, an actual personal sharing page where that's allowed anymore?
Yeah, I don't know the full answer to that, but I know exactly what you're talking about. I've encountered that same issue with a client. And I think that there's a way to get around it, but I don't know for sure. I think you could either dispute it, but again, like Facebook's customer support is pretty much non-existent. I think you can try to dispute it though, or you can like just post a shorter clip of it. But we've had to just like take the music out completely before. So I'm still learning too about how to get around that. But yeah, that does suck for like, you know, dance videos and stuff. That I never thought of that. That's a big deal.
I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, in the past, at least, it wasn't so easy for everyone to compose their own original music, especially if it was inspirational for some reason. But, you know, that just brings about another question. Since everybody here is making startups. Remember about 5 years ago, everybody had a social media startup, and it was ridiculous. Like, what's it like? He's like, well, it sounds like another Facebook. You know, Facebook meets Craigslist. It was the same thing. And so now, if Facebook has gone to the level of YouTube, and that you can't do that anymore, I mean, that's grounds to start a new social media app if anybody is in the mood for it, to jump back on it. Since it's already been written before and you're not popular yet, so you're going to fly under the radar for a while. By the time you're popular and you can make any headlines, that's good. You know, then you'll be able to pay for a lawyer to fight for those, maybe use it to maybe a windows of rights for your people, because it's completely not intended for people to make money. And it's really intended for people to socialize and connect. So it's funny that we have that need again. And I thought I'd, you know, point that out before I close up. Thanks again, Megan.
Yeah, of course. And that actually leads to TikTok again, because the way they work is I think they have like agreements. They have a list of music that you can select for your videos. And that's why it's all like dance focused. It's a bunch of kids doing dances, because there's a list of songs that you could choose, and all of those artists have an agreement with TikTok. So there's something legal there.
Yeah. I mean, without commercial purposes. So trying to share, you know, ballet from, you know, a 5-year-old's ballet with your friends and family, that shouldn't be blocked because it was, you know, written by Mahler or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Recorded by the Philadelphia Philharmonic, you know, Philadelphia Symphony was still around. So, you know, it's just like one of those things. Like, that was the whole point of social media, and they took that. they've overridden that. So now where's your actual personal social pages? If you commercialize it like TikTok, that's not a social video really. It's hey, look how well I sell your music or you know, kind of thing. So that's interesting.
Yeah,
Because
I'm
we
gonna look
do
into
need and we
that.
all miss it.
I'll try to find some answers on that, maybe do a blog post on it or something, but I'll let you know because I'm interested in that too. I want to figure out the answer.
Yeah. It doesn't help us as businesses unless we start a new one. But that's awesome. Thanks, Megan.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Anyone else with a question? Clifford, go ahead.
Hey, Megan, thank you for the overview. It was really nice. My question is, I know you can boost your Facebook fan page, but if you have a group, there's no way to boost that. I'm curious, do you know any strategies on ways to build your group?
Yeah. So you kind of want to direct people to your page first and then invite them from your page to the group. So if you put posts on your page, you could boost those posts and invite the people who liked it or engaged with it to like your page, and they'll find your group that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Kind of a matter of inviting them in masses, and to do that, you have to get them somewhere. But you can also, like, you can invite people if you have an email list or you do an email campaign. You can invite them through email. You could do it outside of Facebook. But yeah, there's a few ways that you can.
Okay, thank you.
Also, there's like a link that you send in your email that says join the group. Is that?
I mean, you could pretty much just promote your group like any other outlet that you have. So, I mean, I know I follow a lot of, like, you know, gurus and stuff who have their groups, and they're just always marketing that over email and, you know, finishing every email with make sure to join our group for further information. Because once you're in the group, then you're engaged, then you get all of those notifications and you see everything that's going on. So any way that you can get people in the group, it doesn't necessarily have to be through Facebook. But if you make your Facebook page like interesting and engaging enough, and then, you know, boost a couple posts that way, you can invite those people into the group.
Okay.
Cool. Hi, Wesley. Go ahead. Let me go ahead and unmute you. Can you unmute yourself?
Yep.
Okay, there you are.
Hello, Megan. Hello, everybody. I have a question. I was at a presentation last year, and the gentleman presenting, he said he started doing Facebook posts, okay, on Facebook and on YouTube. He said what the whole idea was to be in the conversation, even if you're not in the room, okay? So I started doing a lot of Facebook posts, you know, from 1 minute. I think the biggest one I did was maybe 8 minutes, depending on what I was explaining. And I did find that I was getting a lot of, I was in a lot of conversations, you know, across the United States, and I was not in the room, so it was working. But now I've switched over because I understand that the new Toonly thing is the thing to do, where it's an animation. And I've just started doing it. What's your feedback on that?
So are you talking about like videos instead of? Yeah, they do tend to get more engagement.
Okay.
Just statistically, Facebook videos posted on any platform, they do better than photos or text posts. So that does help a lot.
Okay.
Ryan.
Have you seen any, my question, I guess, is have you seen any increase in engagement, like since you've started posting videos instead of?
Yes, I did notice that when I would put some text on my Facebook page, you know, the response would be very, very slow. But when I started putting the videos on there, within 5 minutes, I'd get, you know, 5 to 10 hits back saying, "Hey, saw your video, liked your video." You know, and so I saw some almost immediate feedback on them when I started doing them.
Yeah, if you're running like paid ads too, like the holy grail is to have a really good video. That stuff goes really well, and it also goes to Instagram too, because Facebook and Instagram are together. So when you run an ad on Facebook, usually it automatically runs an ad on Instagram too if you have them hooked up. But like the video ads tend to just have a lot of points.
And one of the things that because the whole idea was to be in a conversation but not be in the room. I got a call from one of my reps with the one of my Medicare carriers, and he said, "Wow, Wesley," he said, "I saw your video." He said, "And I got a call from one of our higher ups, said he saw your video and he thought it was amazing." But then a couple of days later, I got another call saying one of the other higher ups saw your video, really liked it, but was not really happy with because I was showing his puppets on my video. And so I said, well, you know, no advertising, what's the old slogan?
No publicity is bad publicity.
Yes, no publicity is bad publicity. So it was letting me know that my videos were reaching to the other side of the country. So it was definitely working.
Yeah, consider doing a Facebook Live too. I mean, if your videos are doing well, then and people are they like what you have to say, consider doing a live and see how much engagement you could get from there.
Okay. All right.
I think Ryan has a question.
So just to speak to Wesley's experience, I have some experience with that as well, Wesley. You know, when I post videos, so I started up doing startups with Venture Devils, and you know, you post some things, just kind of like show that you're doing it, some pictures, and they just don't really care. Nothing really happens. And then I started posting videos. What I found is that with Venture Devils at Arizona State, in particular, when I posted cartoons about something, you know, like if it was Sally Robotics as a cartoon, you know, showing them helpful, I got lots of likes and I got funding pretty quickly. But the funding at Arizona State is usually really low. But when it came to the right audience, I mean, you know why I got all those likes and got all that activity was because, you know, cartoons are attracted to, you know, a childlike, playful mind. You know, someone who doesn't really care about responsibility or anything else. And the whole purpose of the business was actually to make robots to manage construction sites where it's hazardous for people to be around. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you know, everybody goes home at 3 o'clock. You need robots there. You could do some jobs actually while they're gone, but you know what I mean? It's like, so start there. And then, so of course I didn't get any, I had nobody in my contact list for construction programs because there's no way they would ever take me seriously. There's no way they would ever look at that image and say, oh yeah, that looks like an industrial construction platform. You know, for them, it has to be, you know, here I am in a, they like videos too, but it has to be like, here's a hard hat. Here's the typical blue and white plastic facade of a WordPress, you know, or I mean Microsoft type page and presentation. And this is dry, and these are FCC. You know, these are the OSHA regulation that we follow. It's really boring video. Again, still 5 to 7 minute time frame is all they have. But you know, the cartoons, yeah, you'll get a lot more likes. But who are they? Just focus on your audience, like Megan was bringing up. It's So I don't have as many likes on some videos, but I'm hitting the right audience, driving sales.
Yeah, it's also, you know, especially when it's organic and you're just talking to your phone and you know, you're just kind of sharing your journey. You don't necessarily have to be selling anything. It's just that's how you grow your organic followers, and you know, the ones that like to follow you, they slowly build. But it takes time. But it's more real following than you get than just you know, some vanity numbers. How many likes did I get, or how many, you know, etc. So there's definitely value. It's you know, some of us more comfortable in front of the camera than others. It gets used to ness. And I admit that I'm not really too comfortable being, you know, doing weekly or daily posts. But we do see, especially on Instagram, if we do a post and it's kind of a, something that was created out of Canva or it was a stock photo, it gets a lot less engagement versus if it was a picture that was taken from my phone and posted and I was somewhere and I was sharing it. And I think, and Megan, correct me if I'm wrong, does Instagram or the social media, do they have in their algorithm, do they have a way of checking your geotag and see if it's a photo that's authentic from your device versus maybe from Canva? And then does that help the engagement, or do they kind of put it up higher as far as exposure?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of that going on. And sometimes it's unfortunate too, because like if you schedule things in advance, for example, Facebook prefers if you post directly to Facebook and use their platform as often as you can. But when you schedule, like I've noticed that from other tools, it doesn't get as much engagement. So there's some little details like that, but none of them will ever talk about that or acknowledge it. You kind of have to discover it yourself over time.
Yeah, it's one of those hidden secrets that you kind of have to learn. But it's very obvious. And anytime I posted one on Tuesday about us, I was playing golf with the kids and just kind of took a photo and posted it. And it was in the stories. But it got so much more views than anything else that we've done previously. So I said, maybe there is a way to kind of check your, if it's an authentic photo. But it's definite. But video ultimately, I think is the best. Bradley, go ahead.
Yeah, I just had 2 quick points to kind of like piggyback on what you were saying. First, in terms of like the tools, like posting and pre-scheduling posts, Facebook came out with their own platform to do that. It's called Facebook Creative Studio, I think it's called. And there, you're using their platform and you can pre-schedule Instagram and Facebook posts. And because it's theirs, they're not going to limit the engagement, versus using like a Hootsuite or something else like that. So that's been super useful since that came out. And then in terms of like engagement, like I don't know if Instagram's able to tell the difference between a stock photo and one on your phone because they're the same type of file, but just psychologically people respond much more to specific things and especially things with people in them. So like if you put a picture of like I have one of my clients, I still do some social media stuff for, they're like a bike and ski shop. And when I post a picture of a bike versus a picture of someone on a bike, the engagement is, 2 to 3 times higher with the person in it. Just because like naturally as humans, we're, responsive when we see other people's faces. So I don't know if it's an Instagram thing. I think it's more of like how people react thing, but that's just kind of my 2 cents. So I always tell people like, get a person in the post as much as you possibly can.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I've noticed that too, like I work with an entertainment center and we can share as many like high quality photos or send a photographer to go take a bunch of really nice photos of the venue and stuff. But the stuff that always performs the best is when they film videos of people doing like it's an indoor surfing center. So anytime they have a video of somebody wiping out or learning how to surf for the first time, like that seriously does like 3 times better than anything else that's posted. So
yeah, I think it's I think I kind of just lost my train of thought, but people like they go on social media and it's like, we call it like antisocial, but at the same time people are wired to just like they want to connect with other people. So when they see other people, that's kind of like a pseudo connection in a way. So I think that's kind of like,
And it raises curiosity. You always kind of want to know, oh, who's that? Or
right. You still want to connect with people, even if it's through a screen, right?
Correct. And Avantage is the same way. We're at the core of it. We're a social media platform, even though it's a bartering trading. So we love for you to engage with us on the platform and kind of talk to one another. There's a messaging feature as well, and we have the follows and the likes are coming up. So who was? Oh, there you go, Kathy.
Yeah, hi. Again, Megan, thank you so much. I don't know hardly anything about social media. This is all fairly new to me because I'm a people person. So when all this COVID thing happened, it's like, So that was really great. Thank you. But I do have one question. I have a Facebook page, my personal one, and I set my business up as a second page to under my, personal page. It's the second page, and I have different friends that I asked to like it and all that kind of stuff. But I don't seem to be able to post on my business page and have it link over in any way to my personal page. Did I mess that up? Is that not supposed to happen? I should have a business page of some sort?
Well, it sounds like you do have a business page. That's what you're talking about, right?
Well, I set it up as a business page, but it's actually it's called my, when it says manage my pages, it's just off of my first page. I named it something else. Maybe it is. I don't know. I don't know enough to know what I did. But I just set up another page and called it something else. And I use that for my business. So I don't know if it's actually a business page, but I just know when I post things there, I can't seem to connect it to my other one, because when I go to my regular page, it'll have one of my posts up and it tells me only I can see this. Always has this little headline saying only you can see this. And it's like, okay, but I can see it on my business page, so to speak, but I can't seem to get it to go over to my regular personal page.
Well, I'd have to look at your settings to be sure, but when you have a business page, like the page basically just serves as like the admin to that page.
Okay.
So you're
Mhm.
you can't connect it so that the content posts to both or anything like that. But what you
Okay.
can do, like, and I recommend to a lot of business owners too, like anything that's posted on the business page, share it to your personal network too, because your personal network is like all the people who already know you. And usually, like, if you just started a business page, it's hard to get new likes on that. But your
Okay.
network is already engaged with you and they know who you are, and you probably have more friends there.
Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
I always encourage people to share the stuff from their business page on their personal page if you want to. Some people keep it separate.
Right. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Ryan is waving his hand.
Hi. So just really quick for Bradley, I had a quick question about the feed for Instagram and Facebook. So I haven't started a full load up, but I was looking at Buffer and other services, and with them I can set up a folder and I can create every day on Premiere Rush or do Spark posts and start to just load up different marketing things I want to have posted at different times. What I was wondering is, I haven't looked at this tool. Do I have to manually upload on the content manager by Facebook to schedule out those posts, or do they have a folder that I can just fill up, data to all these different pieces? Because each one's you start doing higher quality videos, they start to be 70, 80 megs and start to get a little bit bigger, and so it needs to be a good size folder. Is there a limit to that? Do you know?
From my experience, I haven't seen, or I haven't personally used like a folder feature within the Facebook tool. So usually I'll just make whatever I'm doing on Canva and then just like drag and drop it over.
To manually upload each one doesn't automatically load in order. You know what I mean? Like if you have like
you're saying you have like a folder and they're already preloaded to the platform.
Yeah, so that I don't have to actually, think about exactly what I'm going to post at 4 o'clock today. I already have feeds that are ready to continue my campaign. You know what I mean? So they go off at 10 o'clock, at 4 o'clock, at 6 o'clock, whatever the high times are. And that's what Buffer and those other platforms do for my app. But I don't know if there's that kind of feed bin for the Facebook. Facebook, Instagram, Creator Studio.
I couldn't answer exactly because I'm not totally sure because I haven't seen these other ones. But you can pre-schedule stuff as much as you want, and you can backdate it and stuff like that. But I don't know if you can do something like that automatically, like you might be talking about.
Yeah. And the other that was the main one. I guess the other one was for Kathy. Yeah, Kathy, you just have to, we set up your separate profiles. They're not linked. But one thing that's good about that is that you can always, I always recommend like your own posts, like your own
Okay.
replies. And if you got yourself a second profile, really quick, go on, change profiles and go like your stuff as a friend would. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
Then
Yep,
your
I
friends
do.
also notice, you know, Kathy just like this. Kathy likes this page. You know, Kathy recommends this page. So now you're your own best fan.
My own best friend.
So I did that because I've got my family profile because, you know, it was Facebook, you know, boring stuff. And then I made my entertainment profile because I was coming out of Hollywood. So my Hollywood image, my family image. And then,
Right.
so now I can use both of those to build business followers a little bit. Just, it's not a
Right.
lot. It's just, you know, if you
Well,
gets you
thank you.
past
Yeah,
the
I
first.
mean, and that's kind of what I've done, but I feel like I'm stuck. Like I said, this is all really new to me as far as being techie. I never really got on Facebook much or anything like that. So out of necessity, like everybody else is doing things online, it's a hit and miss try. And, you know, it's working, but not, it just didn't seem quite right because I wasn't sure how it was supposed to connect, if at all. So that makes me feel much better. I wasn't quite as, I knew more than I thought I did. I'll put it that way. So that makes me feel good, and I appreciate the input. Absolutely. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, everyone. Anyone else with a question? Wesley?
Okay. Well, two things. Sitting and listening, I just got a awesome idea because I do my own webpage, and I was trying to put one of my videos on my webpage, but it kept saying it's too big. And so while I was sitting here and I was listening, it dawned on me. I said, why not take a screenshot of one of my videos and put that on the webpage, and then use that as a link to the video, as opposed to trying to put the video on the webpage. And so my next question, when I post one of my videos, because someone was saying that you can schedule when your videos pop up. Is that correct? So how is that advantageous to do that as opposed to whenever you get the time and you do one and you put it on there, you know, I mean, all day, every day, as many times as you can think about it. Which is better?
Most of the time, yes, it does benefit you to schedule. Also, just because it saves you time. But one thing you should take a look at too is every social media platform has free analytics. Like you could look at your insights. So you could, I would recommend just taking a minute to look through your Facebook business page's insights, and you could see when posts, like times that posts perform the best.